up, everyone? I'm Leyhe. I want to teach you your first open chords on the guitar. There's only a handful of them. If you learn them with the proper fingering, it's just going to make life easier as far as learning music and learning the guitar is concerned. So pay attention to the fingerings, and here we go. The first chord that we start out learning is the E chord. It's an E major, and the fingering is as follows. Index finger on the G string, first fret. Ring finger, second fret, D string. And then your middle finger, second fret of the A string. So it looks like this, and it should sound like this. Next up, we have the A chord, and the A chord looks like this. All of your fingers on the second fret, index finger, second fret of the D string, middle finger, second fret of the G string, and then ring finger, second fret of the B string. And that sounds like this. Okay, next up we have the D chord. And the D chord, it looks kind of like a little triangle on the top three strings. What we have is we have our middle finger, second fret of the E string, ring finger, third fret of the B string, and then our index finger, second fret of the G string. Those fretted notes sound like this. And then the full chord sounds like this. A quick note about the D chord is that we don't really want to have all the 6 strings ring. The low E string isn't a note in that chord. If we are going to play that and we want to strum the whole guitar, we'd want to fret that with our thumb. But usually you just kind of avoid those lower strings as they sound kind of muddy with a D chord. So you would want to start and maybe hit the top 4 strings. There are a lot of rules in rock and roll that are kind of fuzzy, and this is one of them. But in general, you just don't want to hit this, which is all 6 strings. That's not what a D chord should sound like. It should sound more like. Okay, next up we have our G chord. G is a bit of a stretch, but you start with your middle finger on the bottom string, E string at the 3rd fret. Index finger follows, second fret of the A string. And then your pinky, I like to use my pinky, I think it's the easiest to grab. You want to get your other 3rd fret on the high E string. And that chord sounds like that. Next up we have our C chord. C looks like this. Ring finger, 3rd fret of the A string, middle finger, 2nd fret of the D string, open G string, and then 1st finger, 1st fret of the B string. Now this is like the D chord where we don't want to hear the low E string. Listen to this. Suddenly it sounds kind of muddy and just not correct. The best way to just avoid that is hit this as your lowest note when you strum that. Cool, now let's see. E, D, A, C, G. Okay, so there's one more chord that I haven't talked about, and this is starting to get into bar chords, which is a little bit of a different category, but the last chord that we haven't played yet is an F chord. The reason it's a little bit different, it's basically an E chord, but moved up 1 fret. And if you're to play it down here, what you'd want to do is begin by barring the first 2 strings with your 1st finger at the 1st fret. So that's the E and B string, barred at the 1st fret. Middle finger is the 2nd fret of the G string. 3rd finger, 3rd fret of the D string. That sounds like this. Now be careful when you're barring that it doesn't sound like this. You really want your 1st finger to bar those first 2 strings very comfortably. So this takes a minute, and it's kind of like you get a little extra credit point if you can play this, because it's a little bit tricky compared to our other open strings. But in any case, those are our open chords.